Alright, so in this lesson, we are going to talk about something called a box and whisker plot. I'm going to tell you right up front, box and whisker plots in the beginning are a little bit confusing. And the only reason why they're confusing is because there's a lot of new vocabulary and a lot of new information. Once you do them a couple times, though, they're actually very easy and they're kind of fun because they're almost like a puzzle. So if you're confused in the beginning, it's totally okay. We're going to have tons of practice, and just know that it gets easier with practice, okay? They're not hard, they're just a little bit confusing. So here we're going to talk about creating a box and whisker plot and reading a box and whisker plot. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. Remember, I told you lots of vocabulary, so don't be overwhelmed. Okay, so box and whisker plot. Well, for one, it uses a number line, and that's something that you're very familiar with. And what it does is it takes a bunch of data and it shows how it is distributed. And the way that it shows that is it shows you the median of the data, it shows you the quartiles of the data, and it shows you the extremes of the data. And this is a picture of what a box and whisker plot would look like, except that below there's going to be a number line, okay? So you can see here you're going to have a box, and then on each side you're going to have these long sticks, and those are called whiskers. So you can almost think about it like a cat's head, like this is its head and then it has its whiskers. Okay? So let's talk about what all of those numbers mean. So first off is the lower extreme. This is the least value in the data set. And to put it even simpler, it's the smallest number in the data set. So when you put them in order, it's going to be the smallest number. The second thing that we need in order to construct a box and whisker plot is something called the lower quartile. And that is the median of the lower half of the data. So we're going to cut the data in half, and we're going to find the median of the lower half. All right, then we have the median, and you know how to find the median, and that's going to be the exact same process. The median is the middle of the data. Then we have something called the upper quartile. The upper quartile is the median of the second half of the data. And then last but not least, we have something called the upper extreme, and that's easy peasy. It is the greatest value, meaning it is the biggest number in the data set. So I want to put this a little simpler for you, okay? You're going to have a bunch of numbers, all right? Let's say you have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. All right, and all you're going to do is you're going to find the median of this. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me do this here. Let me add 1. All right, so you're going to find the median of this, which is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right here. So your median is going to be 5.5, okay? And then you're going to find your smallest number, your lowest number, and then you're going to find the median of this and the median of this. And that is your box and whisker plot. Not too difficult, so don't be overwhelmed. All right, let's actually do a real example and do this step by step. So first thing is, here is our data. Let's put it in order from least to greatest. Go ahead and do that now. Oops. All right, now that you have it in order, step 2 is find the smallest number. Right here, 65. 65 is what is called the lower extreme. When you hear the word extreme, that means like the farthest out, like absolutely craziest idea kind of thing. And so extreme is either going to be the absolute smallest number, or in this case, in number 3, find the upper extreme. That's going to be the absolute largest number. Okay? So, we put them in order. We found the lower extreme, the smallest number, and the upper extreme, the biggest number. Not too bad so far. Now, let's find the median. And you're used to that, so find yourself the middle number. Oops. We're going to cross. And we're left with these two guys here, which is 80. And 80 plus 80 is 160 divided by 2. So our median is going to be 80. Now, find the median of the lower half of the data. And that's what's going to be the lower quartile. So, we now have the data separated into two different parts. We have the lower half and we have the upper half. So, cross out, cross out, cross out, cross out, and we're left with 70 for the lower quartile. And we're going to repeat the exact same process and find the upper quartile. And that's the median of the upper half of the data. Cross out, cross out, cross out, cross out, and we're left with 90. Now, the last part is to graph it, okay? So, we're going to draw a number line here. And I'm going to go back up for a minute and look at my data. So my smallest number is 65, my largest number is 100. And kind of like the histograms, you're going to have to determine what your scale is. I'm going to start at 60 and I'm going to go by 5s. But there's no real wrong way to do it. You want to just make sure that you give yourself plenty of space. You don't have to start at the first number and you don't have to end at the last number. So I'm going to stop at 110, okay? Now the first thing I'm going to graph is the median, and the median was 80. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to put a nice big dot above 80. Now I'm going to graph the upper quartile and the lower quartile, and that was 70 and 90. So here's 70, and here's 90. And then I need to graph the extremes. And those were the first two numbers, 65 and 100. So 65 and 100. Okay? And we are almost done. The last step is to draw a box around the quartiles and put a vertical line at the median. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to draw a box at the quartiles, and I didn't do a very good job, so let's try that again. And put a line down the median, and then we're going to draw the whiskers, and those just go out to the last two parts. And that is it. You have drawn a box and whisker plot. Okay? So again, a long process, but it's not too bad. There's two other important vocab words that you need to know, though. You already know this one. What is the range? And you know the range is just biggest number minus smallest number. And so in this case, it's going to be your two extremes. So 100 minus 65. Okay, and I got that from the box and whisker plot that we just did here. 65 was the smallest number. 100 was the largest number. And so when you subtract that, you're going to get 35. Now, The new one is something called an interquartile range. And if you really think about that, I bet you can figure out what it means. So if I go back and I look at my box and whisker plot, my range is the biggest minus the smallest. The interquartile range is just going to be the upper quartile minus the lower quartile. So at the top of the box minus the lower box. And that's going to be 90 minus 70. So 90 minus 70, and that's going to equal 20. All right, so now we have your first example. All right, so let's work through this together. First, let's put them in order. You go ahead and do that. All right, now we have them in order, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is find my lower extreme and my upper extreme, okay? And let's see, upper extreme UE is 27, lower extreme LE is 10. All right, now I'm going to find my median. So I like to put the cross out marks at the top so that I don't totally cross out the number, because then I have to find the two quartiles. So 1, 2. And so here, my median is 19. Okay. Now I need to find my upper quartile and lower quartile. And so I'm going to split my data just like that. And so I have goodbye, 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 goodbye. And I have 15 is my lower quartile. And then we're going to say goodbye, 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 goodbye. And 23 is my upper quartile. And again, all I did was I separated the lower half of the data and the upper half of the data from the median, and I found the median of that part of the data. Now before I graph, I need to find my range and my IQR, which is my interquartile range. So what is my range? That's the biggest minus the smallest, 27 minus 10, 17. My interquartile range is my upper quartile minus my lower quartile. 23 minus 15 is 8. Now I need to just go ahead and label my number line and graph my information. So I have to go from 10 to 27. And I think I'm going to try and go by ones here. So 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. Oh, that doesn't look like a 26. Alright, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. Perfect. Alright, so now we have to go ahead, and graph, and I didn't mean to put that line there. And so I like to make my dots first. So we have my median is 19, so nice big dot there. My upper quartile is 23. My lower quartile is 15, and it doesn't matter what order you put them on the number line. Then I have 27, and then I have 10. Now the range and the interquartile range, you do not put these on the number line. That's just extra information, okay? I like to draw my whiskers first. Oops, that's a terrible whisker. So let's try that again. Okay, and then I have my whisker there. And then I have my box. Now, what's really important about the box that some people forget, you have to draw the line down the median. And just think about it this way, every dot has to touch a line. And that is your box and whisker plot. All right, let's do the next example here. So Ben received the following percentages on his test: 80, 95, 98, 67, 75, 77, 89, 86, 68, and 85. Create a box and whisker plot. All right, so let's put them in order. Alright, now that we've done that, we need to start to figure out our data. So the first thing I like to figure out are my extremes. My lower extreme is 67. My upper extreme is 98. Now I like to find my median. I do my tick marks across the top. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Oops, I got too excited there. 1, 1, and I'm left with these two guys in the middle. And so 80 plus 85 divided by 2, that's going to be 82.5. That's my median. And then I need to figure out my quartiles. So I'm going to split my data. So I go goodbye, 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 goodbye. And I'm left with 75 for the lower quartile. And then goodbye, 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 goodbye. And 89 for my upper quartile. My range is going to be my extremes subtracted from each other. So 98 minus 67, that's going to be 31. My interquartile range are it's the range between my two quartiles. And so 89 minus 75 is going to be 14. Now I need to put this all on my number line. So I go from 67 to 98. And so I think I only have 30 tick marks. And so I'm going to go by 2s. Let's try that. I'm going to go by 2s. So I'm going to start at, and you could do this any way you want. I'm going to start at, let's see, 64, 66, 68, 70, 72, 74, 76, 78, 80, 82, 84, 86, 88, 90, 92, 94, 96, 98, 100, 102, 104. Alright, so let's start to put this information on the graph. So let's see, I have 67, and then I have 98, I have 75, and I have 89, which is going to be right around here. And then I have 82.5, which is going to be right about here. And remember, you do not graph the range and you do not graph the interquartile range. So I like to make my whiskers first, and then I will make my box. And don't forget the line down the median. And that wasn't a very good line, so let's try that again. There we go. And that is your box and whisker plot. Alright, let's do another example. And I think we have one more after this. Alright, so let's go ahead and create a box and whisker plot. Let's put these numbers in order. All right. And now that we have them in order, let's go ahead and do our extremes. Our upper extreme is 21. Our lower extreme is 2. So now let's find our median. All right, our median is 12. And then we have to find our lower quartile and upper quartile. Our lower quartile is 3, and our upper quartile is 14. So now let's quickly calculate our range. Biggest number minus little number, 21 minus 2 is 19. And our IQR, our interquartile range, is our upper quartile minus our lower quartile, which is going to be 11. And last but not least, let's graph it. I think with this one, I'm going to go by maybe ones. Let's see if I have enough room. 2, 3, 4, 7. Perfect. All right, so I'm going to graph my extremes. I have 2 and I have 21. And then I'm going to do my quartiles, which is 3 and 14. And my median is 12. And remember, you do not graph your range and you do not graph your interquartile range. So let's make my whiskers first. And you're going to notice that this box and whisker plot is not going to be as symmetrical as some other ones that you saw. And that is what it should look like. It is not always going to be a perfectly symmetrical box with whiskers that are the exact same size. That's the point of the box and whisker plot, is to show you the distribution of the data. Okay? All right. Let's look at the last example, and I want you to go ahead and try this example, and we will match up our answers at the end. All right, if you are not done, go ahead and pause the video, and if you are done, let's make sure that our data matches. So we have a median of 8, an upper quartile of 11.5, because you were left with 2 numbers here, you had to find the median. A lower quartile of 4, again, you were left with 2 numbers, you had to find the median. An upper extreme of 16, a lower extreme of 3, And then 16 minus 3 is 13, and 11.5 minus 4 is 7.5. Excuse me. And then we simply put it on the graph. And so you have your whiskers here, you have your box here, and you always have your median in the center. Alright, that is the end of this lesson. We're going to do lots of practice with box and whisker plots, and then there's another lesson where we talk about them some more right after this.